move to the idea that when we print out a report, you'll see the sun line, the moon, the ascendant. But right after that says NN for North Node. That's typically line 4. And then line 5 is SN for South Node. So with the nodal axis, you have the center of a zodiacal wheel. And a nodal axis is completely 180 degrees opposite each other. And this is how the beautiful cosmic game works in life, right? As a soul, we agree, hey, I didn't learn that issue in my last life. I'll come in again and try and learn it this life. So there's some pre-agreements. You can find out where you came from in a past life, what those lessons were. And you can also see on the 100% opposite what the lesson is now that will challenge you in this life. Now, you're not going to find nodes in the cosmos. It's not like a planet. It's not physical, but it has a very specific point in space that involves the Earth and the moon. Julia, do you want to add anything?
I would like to go straight to the experience I've had with so many QHHT clients when I was doing years of past life regression sessions through QHHT. And we looked at several different past lives of a person. And then after their session, I would sit and look at their charts, and especially at the lunar nodes, I would see that it's true what's written in their chart.
Right, because everyone comes in with nodal points. So there's still that lesson. Okay, so we're moving right along now to the final pairing on the nodal axes of house 6 in Virgo, who's ruled by Mercury, house 6. And then equally and opposite is the house of Pisces, the 12th house. So you've got Virgo, whose day-to-day routines, health and body, here's my list, I'm going to analyze. And then you've got Pisces, who's just like, oh, I'm going to go away and I'm going to go dream and leave me alone. And I might just hide out for a while, but the dreamer. So I'm going to turn it over to you. This is our last pairing of the nodal axes.
Thank you. From what I recall, North Node in 6th house, past lives of these clients would have been in monastery, in seclusion, in isolation, in nature, just living by themselves and strongly commuting with God, with nature, and very connected to cosmic mind, to just being. They were just being. And they didn't know really how to connect with people, how to fit in, and they didn't like it. They always found it very intense to be with others. I found with starseeds, when we looked at their starseed journey, when starseeds come to Earth from planets that were heavenly, where there was no polarity, it was really 5D and higher, where it was all bliss, they will have this first life on Earth, or even first couple, as their graceful entry, getting used to earthly energies first, and just having 1 or 2 lives in this Piscean energy, where they were either living in a jungle by themselves or just became this hermit and just feeling the nature, loving the nature, living with nature. And they didn't really have much encounter. Usually then towards the end of their life, someone comes and takes over, and then they're dead, and into next life they start interacting with humans. So that's very interesting. And on the kind of lower frequency of that Piscean South Node past lives, some of them would have been locked up. They would have been in either asylum, is how you pronounce it, or in prison, or labeled as crazy because they had visions. I came across a couple of those too, or known as lunatic, because they were all too in the other dimensions rather than here, and the humans that they were in contact with, they just didn't get it, so they were the outcasts. Okay. Oh, and another one also would be seers, and psychics and card readers, they would have channeled for others in a couple of cases. So their mission in this life is to focus more on here and now, on the practical, everyday things that need to get done in order to manifest a healthy life. And in order to be part of a society, they need to learn the nitty-gritty and paying attention to detail. They really need to develop that. Without it, they will not be able to manifest anything proper and tangible in their life. So then they would usually also meet people that will reflect that to them, that they can learn from. They'll usually be born to close to someone or live with someone who has strong Virgo. So they're learning from them. It's very interesting to see. Okay, and so if the North Node is in Pisces, South Node in Virgo, often I would see these as doctors, nurses, or someone who is excellent at details and making major decisions that are life and death decisions. Like they just know what's important and what's not. They have amazing discernment, and they would have been in positions in past lives where it was necessary, where it was required. So, and to the point where they feel like they control. If you think about doctor, like he's in control of it, of what happens. And that person over many lives, because they were so much in that left brain mode, they've forgotten about their spiritual aspect and about divine also, or co-creating with them. So they will try as much as they can control situations, but it will never work out until they will learn to surrender to greater intelligence and co-create with their higher self. Then things will start working. So they are usually through crisis in their life guided to go within, they just need to surrender, either through physical illness or other people's very difficult circumstances that they cannot change and control, literally like the child having cancer or something like that. And that pushes them to surrender, to connect with their heart and soul. And then they learn to have a much more balanced way of focusing on details, but also allowing the universe to help them and support them and co-create with them.
Wow. Okay, well, I think if you're okay, I have two little questions for you, Julia. One is about, you mentioned that oftentimes in marriages, you'll see, let's say I'm a Virgo sun, the attraction for a marriage partner on the opposite side of the axis in Pisces. Can you make a quick comment about that?
I've seen this over and over again. It's the South-North nodes in long-term relationships are usually opposing each other. So it's always a good sign for destined relationship where you're meant to learn from each other through opposites and find a middle point. So that's usually a very nice telling sign. And oftentimes the ascendant and descendant will be opposing each other with long-term partners and couples. So that's very interesting. And then with children, so children would tend to have opposing nodes either through zodiac sign or through house with parents. So do you know what I mean? It's like a triangle. It's fascinating to see
Just
that
helps
that
to bring
level of
those
orchestration.
lessons forward, right?
Yes.
These finding specific dance partners to get that lesson for you. It's like you're calling in these dance partners that you've already pre-agreed to.